If you're over 60, and every morning you wake up feeling more tired, drained of energy, and you've noticed that your blood circulation in the intimate area has gotten worse, don't be quick to blame your age, because the truth might surprise you more than you could ever imagine. Many men your age are unknowingly depriving their blood circulation of the fuel it needs every single night. And changing this is as simple as taking a small spoonful of the right food before you go to bed. It sounds almost too simple, I know, but stay with me, because what I'm about to share with you is grounded in real science, shaped by years of clinical experience, and has already changed the lives of hundreds of men who sat in my office feeling exactly the way you might be feeling right now. I'm Dr. Melani Rubio, a physician specializing in male health, with over 10 years of experience helping older men recover their vitality, rediscover their energy, and rebuild that vital connection between body and mind that they thought was lost forever. I've dedicated my career to understanding the specific and often overlooked ways that the aging male body responds to nutrition, sleep, hormonal changes, and lifestyle. And what I've learned over more than a decade of practice has convinced me of one thing above all else. The body's capacity to heal, repair, and restore itself never fully disappears. It simply needs the right conditions, the right fuel, and the right timing. Today I'm going to share with you one of the best-kept secrets in the field of male health. Because while everyone talks to you about breakfast, exercise, and supplements, the real magic happens while you sleep, when your body is actively working to rebuild blood vessels, restore testosterone levels, and send blood precisely where you need it most, as long as you give it the right fuel. Most men never think about what they consume in those final hours before bed. They focus on their morning routine, their workout, their daytime, diet, and then they collapse into bed without giving a second thought to what their body is going to be working with for the next 7 or 8 hours. That oversight, that single gap in an otherwise reasonable health routine, could be costing you far more than you realize. I'm going to show you 7 simple and delicious foods to take before bed that have the power to improve your blood circulation, rebuild your muscles, and restore your vitality, even if you've already turned 70 or 80. Don't go anywhere, because I'm going to reveal a food that many call nature's Viagra. And just 1 spoonful before bed can completely change how you feel when you wake up tomorrow and every day after that. Before we dive into these powerful nighttime foods that can restore your circulation and confidence overnight, make sure you subscribe and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any of the secrets that can help men over 60 recover their strength and control. First, you need to understand why blood circulation in that area declines so rapidly after 60, and why nighttime is precisely the best moment to repair it. Let me tell you something you'll probably never hear from your doctor. Not because they're hiding anything from you, but because most medical appointments are too short, too focused on managing symptoms, and too rarely dedicated to the kind of preventive lifestyle-based conversation that could genuinely transform your health before problems become serious. Blood flow to your intimate area isn't just related to sexual arousal. It's intrinsically linked to your overall health, your masculine identity, and your quality of life. When the circulatory system that serves your intimate region is functioning well, you feel strong, present, and alive. When it starts to falter, the effects ripple outward into every corner of your daily experience: your energy levels, your mood, your confidence, your sleep, your sense of self. When I first started practicing medicine, I had a patient named Juan, 71 years old, a retired construction worker, who sat in my office with tears in his eyes telling me that for more than a year, he hadn't felt like a man. And he wasn't just talking about sexual function. He was talking about a deep disconnection from his own sense of self, from the man he had always known himself to be. That disconnection, that quiet grief over a vitality that seems to have slipped away without warning, is something I hear about again and again from men in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. And it breaks my heart every time. Not because there's nothing that can be done, but because so many men suffer in silence for so long before they ever ask for help. As we age, nitric oxide levels in our body gradually decrease. Nitric oxide is an essential molecule that helps relax and dilate blood vessels, allowing blood to flow freely throughout the body, especially toward the areas that need it most. Think of it as the biological signal that tells your vascular system to open up, to expand, to let the blood through. Without sufficient nitric oxide, blood vessels become stiffer, narrower, and less responsive, and the consequences of that rigidity are felt throughout the body, from cardiovascular health to cognitive function to sexual performance. During deep sleep, your body releases growth hormones, rebuilds tissues, and rebalances your entire nervous system. The pituitary gland becomes most active. Testosterone production cycles through its nightly peak, and cellular repair processes that simply cannot happen during waking hours begin to unfold. But without the right building blocks, without the correct fuel delivered at the right time, your body simply cannot do its nightly repair work as effectively as it should. You wake up having missed an opportunity that your body was ready to take advantage of, if only you had given it what it needed. The first food I want to share with you is Tart Cherry Juice, that bittersweet, ruby-colored drink that can quietly become one of the most powerful tools in your nighttime routine. I had a patient, Jose, 69 years old, a retired bus driver, who told me he was mentally present but physically felt like his body wasn't cooperating, especially in intimacy. He described it as wanting to be there, wanting to engage, but feeling like the connection between his desire and his body's response had been severed somewhere along the way. That description, that gap between intention and physical response, is one of the most common and most painful things men over 60 describe to me. What makes Tart Cherry Juice unique is that it's one of the richest sources of natural melatonin, that hormone that not only regulates deep and restorative sleep, but also plays a critical role in reducing the oxidative stress that damages blood vessels over time. Tart Cherry Juice is also rich in anthocyanins, natural compounds that fight inflammation and actively promote the production of nitric oxide. This combination, better sleep, less inflammation, and more nitric oxide, creates exactly the internal environment your body needs to repair and restore circulatory function during the night. Jose started drinking a small cup about 30 minutes before going to bed. Within a few days, he was falling asleep faster and staying asleep longer. Within a few weeks, he was waking up less during the night and noticed that his morning erections were firmer and more consistent, something he hadn't expected but accepted with tremendous relief and joy. He told me it felt like a light had been switched back on inside him. I'd love to know where you're watching from right now. Write your city or country in the comments so I can greet you personally in our next video. We love getting to know our community and knowing that we're reaching men from all over the world who are looking to recover their vitality and live more fully. The second food is pumpkin seeds, those small green seeds that seem almost insignificant at first glance, but for men over 60, can have a truly tremendous impact on blood circulation, sleep quality, and overnight recovery. Antonio, 66 years old, a retired engineer, came to see me because he was waking up 3 or 4 times every single night to go to the bathroom, arriving at each morning feeling completely exhausted and unable to enjoy even the activities he used to love. His intimate life had essentially come to a halt, not because of a lack of desire, but because the chronic fatigue that comes from years of interrupted sleep had depleted every reserve he had. Pumpkin seeds are rich in magnesium, a mineral that plays a crucial role in relaxing the smooth muscle of blood vessel walls and promoting healthy, unrestricted blood flow throughout the body. Magnesium deficiency, which is extraordinarily common in men over 60, is directly associated with elevated blood pressure, arterial stiffness, and reduced circulatory efficiency in the pelvic region. Pumpkin seeds also contain zinc in significant quantities, an essential mineral for testosterone production, sperm health, and prostate function. The phytosterols found in these seeds have been studied specifically for their ability to reduce the inflammation and enlargement of the prostate that causes the nightly bathroom visits that rob so many older men of restorative sleep. Antonio started taking 1 or 2 tablespoons of pumpkin seeds before bed, sometimes mixed with a small amount of honey or sprinkled over a light yogurt. Within a few weeks, he had cut his nightly bathroom visits in half, was sleeping far more deeply, and felt noticeably more rested and physically receptive during intimate moments with his partner. He told me the change felt almost unbelievable for something so simple. The third food is almond butter, and I want you to sit with this for a moment, because just 1 tablespoon before bed, spread on a small piece of whole grain bread or simply taken from the spoon, can be more powerful in its effects on your overnight circulation than many of the supplements lining the shelves of your local pharmacy. Luis, 74 years old, a widower who had recently begun to open himself up to dating again after years of grief and solitude, confessed to me with quiet embarrassment that his emotional readiness had finally returned, but his body wasn't following along. Everything in his heart was willing. His physical response was lagging behind. Almond butter is rich in magnesium, which, as we've discussed, works directly to relax and dilate blood vessels. It contains an abundance of healthy monounsaturated fats that are essential building blocks for hormonal production, including testosterone. And most critically for our purposes, almond butter contains significant quantities of arginine, a naturally occurring amino acid that serves as the primary precursor your body uses to manufacture nitric oxide. More arginine consumed at the right time, specifically in that window before deep sleep when your body's repair systems are most active, means more raw material available for nitric oxide production, which means more responsive, more flexible, better perfused blood vessels by the time morning arrives. Luis started taking a tablespoon of almond butter on a slice of whole grain bread each night before sleeping. 2 weeks later, he walked into my office with a smile I hadn't seen on his face before, and told me he felt 20 years younger. Not just physically, but in his confidence, his sense of possibility, his willingness to be present with another person in a way that vulnerability requires. Now I need to ask you something important to create better content for this community. What is your greatest current challenge? Write one in the comments if it's the lack of energy and vitality in the mornings that's holding you back most. Write 2 if it's difficulty maintaining intimate function. Your honest answer helps me understand what topics matter most to the men watching this channel, and I take that responsibility seriously. The 4th food is soft-boiled or poached eggs, a natural nitric oxide activator that the vast majority of men over 60 have never considered as part of a nighttime health strategy. Manuel, 68 years old, a retired teacher who had spent his career caring deeply about evidence and accuracy, was openly skeptical when I first suggested that adding eggs to his evening routine could meaningfully change how he felt as a man. He had tried supplements, had adjusted his exercise routine, had even consulted with other specialists. He wasn't looking for another simple answer to a complex problem. But the power of eggs in this context doesn't rest on protein alone, impressive as that protein content is. It rests specifically on leucine, a branched-chain amino acid that plays a unique and well-documented role in stimulating muscle protein synthesis, balancing anabolic hormones, and promoting the cellular signaling pathways that lead to increased nitric oxide release. Eggs also deliver meaningful quantities of vitamin D, which supports testosterone production and immune function, as well as vitamin B12, which is essential for healthy nerve conduction, the quality of neural signals that ultimately govern sensitivity, arousal, and the entire cascade of physiological events that culminate in a healthy sexual response. Manuel added 2 soft-boiled eggs to his nighttime routine, usually eaten about an hour before bed, with a small amount of salt and a side of sliced avocado. Within 10 days, his morning erections were more reliable and more firm. Within 3 weeks, he was sleeping more deeply and getting up fewer times during the night. He told me, somewhat grudgingly but with unmistakable satisfaction, that I had been right. The 5th food is Greek yogurt, that remarkable dual protein source for overnight repair that deserves far more attention in conversations about male health after 60. Carlos, 70 years old, a former soccer coach who still carried himself with athletic discipline, still had a powerful handshake and a sharp mind, but admitted with quiet sadness that he felt like a shadow of the man he used to be. The strength was there in his bearing, in his presence, but something underneath had gone quiet and he missed it. Greek yogurt contains two distinct types of protein that work in complementary ways to support overnight recovery. Whey protein, which is rapidly digested and quickly available, initiates the repair process almost immediately after consumption. Casein protein, which digests much more slowly and releases amino acids gradually over many hours, continues feeding your muscles, your blood vessels, and your repair systems throughout the entire night, including during the deepest and most regenerative stages of sleep. This sustained release of nutrition during the hours when your body is most actively rebuilding is something that almost no other food delivers quite as effectively. Carlos prepared a bowl every night with Greek yogurt, chia seeds, a sprinkle of cinnamon, and half a banana. Within 3 weeks, he was waking up more rested, with noticeably more morning energy and mental clarity, and had recovered a level of physical intimacy with his partner that neither of them had expected to experience again. He told me it had changed not just his body, but his marriage. The sixth and most powerful is my personal muscle rebuilding shake, a recipe I've refined over years of clinical practice and recommended to hundreds of patients with consistently impressive results. The foundation of this shake is whey protein for rapid overnight muscle repair, collagen peptides to support connective tissue integrity and vascular wall health, and leucine, that critical amino acid that activates the mTOR pathway and keeps muscle-building mechanisms running even in men well into their 70s and 80s. Javier, 75 years old, had lost significant muscle mass and physical confidence following a difficult surgery and a prolonged recovery. He came to me feeling defeated, as though his body had crossed a threshold it couldn't return from. He began taking this shake each night, combining a spoonful of whey protein with a spoonful of collagen, 3 grams of leucine, all blended with unsweetened almond milk, a pinch of cinnamon, and sometimes a small handful of frozen berries for flavor and antioxidant support. Within a few weeks, his posture had visibly improved, his physical stamina was returning, and the confidence that had evaporated during his long recovery was quietly, steadily coming back. He told me one afternoon that he had started looking forward to going to bed, knowing his body was going to spend those hours doing something meaningful with what he'd given it. The missing nighttime strategy is what separates the men who see real results from those who put in effort during the day, but never quite bridge the gap to the transformation they're working toward. David, 68 years old, was doing many things, right? He exercised regularly, he had cleaned up his diet considerably, he was taking several supplements his doctor had recommended. But he was still feeling stuck, still waking up tired, still feeling that distance from his own vitality that he couldn't quite close. The reason was simple. He was ignoring the most crucial nutritional window of the entire 24-hour cycle, those final hours before deep sleep, when everything your body is about to do for the next 8 hours depends entirely on what you've given it to work with. When David added a deliberate, targeted nighttime nutrition strategy, the results came faster than either of us expected. Within 2 weeks, he was sleeping more deeply than he had in years. Within a month, he told me he finally felt like he had genuinely returned to himself, not a diminished version of who he used to be, but someone who was present, energized, and ready. How long will it take you to notice changes? Miguel, 71 years old, a retired male, carrier who had carried packages up and down city streets for decades, and still had the calloused hands to show for it, committed fully to this nighttime strategy. After just 7 nights, he reported deeper, less interrupted sleep. By day 14, his daytime energy had improved substantially, and morning erections had returned with a regularity and firmness that moved him to tears when he told me about it. He thought that chapter of his life was over. It was not. By day 30, his stamina had increased. His trips to the bathroom at night had become rare, and he described feeling physically stronger and more emotionally present than he had at any point in the previous decade. The most important message I want to leave you with today is this, and I want you to hear it not as a doctor talking to a patient, but as someone who has sat with hundreds of men in their most honest and vulnerable moments and seen firsthand what becomes possible when they stop believing the lie that nothing can be done. You are not broken. It doesn't matter your age. It doesn't matter what your last blood test showed or what another specialist may have told you. You are not broken. You can rebuild. Your body is not your enemy, it is your partner, and it has been waiting patiently for you to give it what it needs to do, the extraordinary work it is still capable of doing. Tonight, you can choose to continue with the same routine, or you can take one simple action. One spoonful of the right food. A quiet, private commitment to begin showing up for yourself in a new way. That is how change begins. Not with a dramatic overhaul, not with an expensive program, but with a single decision made in the stillness before sleep that says, I am not done yet. I still want to feel. I still want to connect. I still want to live fully. And I am willing to take one small step in that direction tonight. If this video has inspired you even a little, please don't keep it to yourself. Press the like button so the YouTube algorithm knows this content matters and helps us reach more men who are quietly searching for exactly what we've talked about today. Share it with a friend, a brother, a father, or any man in your life who might be struggling in silence. You never know what impact a single shared video can have on someone's life. I'd love to know which nighttime food you plan to try tonight. Leave it in the comments below. I read every single one personally. And your story, your experience, your honest reflection could be exactly the inspiration that another man needs to take his first step. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and activate the notification bell to receive notifications whenever we publish new content on male health, vitality, and the science of thriving after 60. Thank you for watching. Thank you for choosing to invest in yourself today. And remember, it is never, ever too late to start feeling better.